The park is popular mainly because it's an amusement park. It's clean, attractive. There was a lot of things to do. It was out in the open. They had a small beach, and it wasn't a large beach, but it was a small beach. And so it was very popular for the people from Stanford and even from New York. People from New York would like to visit the park because it was a one-day excursion. So it was enjoyable, stress-free area. The worst time you would be there is the 4th of July, because what happened at that particular time, people would throw fireworks all over the place. And one of the favorite things they used to do was stand near the water and throw cherry bombs into the water. And it was like torpedoes going off in the water, very loud. So I think a better explanation would be like depth charges, miniature depth charges. So it was open fireworks, and the people would shoot fireworks all day long and all over the place. And there were many injuries, but they had a first aid station for the people that had injuries from the fireworks. You can't do that anymore now. They don't sell cherry bombs or M80s. Well, what happened? My dad's first job was to work at Roton Point. He started in 1928. And then in the mid-30s, he met his wife through a blind date, and she was from California. So she came east, they got married, and then she started working with my father at Roton Point. Then after that, I was around 6 years old, and I was adopted out of an orphanage. And so I didn't have any parents. They adopted me. I guess they couldn't have any children. So after they adopted me, I went to Roton Point. I have vivid memories of Roton Point. How could you forget the place? We had two concessions. My father worked at the penny pitch, and then my mother operated the break the balloon game. And so we had two separate sessions. I helped my mother operate the balloon game, and my dad worked alone with the penny pitch. One thing, when I was young, I guess around 7 or 8 years old, my dad would take me around, and we'd go on the rides, and it was fun going on the rides, the scooter, the merry-go-round, and he wouldn't let me ride a roller coaster. Only when I got older did I ride a roller coaster. So, and then what happened at night, he would take me up to the pavilion. We had a room in the pavilion, and he put me to bed. Friday night, you couldn't sleep because Friday night was when they had the fireworks. And the room I had overlooked the roller coaster area. And adjacent to the roller coaster area is where you had the fireworks. So every Friday night, I would be able to see the fireworks from my room. Well, here we had a picture of the roller coasters, and that was located on the west side of the beach. And then I see we have a fence there, and it looks like part of the Grove area. And well, this is self-explanatory. The merry-go-round after the year 1938 hurricane. The 1938 hurricane, I recall, the water went up to about 4 or 5 feet in my dad's concession, and you could see the watermark. So that spring, everything was repainted, and it didn't look like the hurricane affected the park. And you couldn't tell because everything was cleaned up and all the plants were in place. The favorite things? Yeah, well, I used to, I was too young to work, so I used to go in the morning. I would go down to the pier and go fishing and try to get blackfish or burgos. But before I go fishing the previous night, I would go down to the rocky area and dig for clams for bait. Then after I got through fishing, I would go to the beach and take a swim. and then come back to the concession and just hang around, watch my parents work. Oh, this looks like pottery, and uh, actually, the main the they had a hotel there where some of the employees work. I mean, stay. It was a wooden structure, and um, the hotel faced the water, and it was two sections. It was an enclosed section and then a open section. But both sections would have tables. It was covered up with white dining room cloth and was a formal setting. The waiters were very formal. They wore jacket, black jacket. The cooks came from New York. They had about three cooks. The waiters, they were all of German descent. Most of them spoke English with a German accent. One of the things they used to do before they went to work was to swim in the Long Island Sound. And they were pretty good swimmers. And they would swim for about half an hour. And the waiters, they stayed at the hotel, and they had rooms that overlooked the dining area, which is up on the second floor of the, you can say the hotel, the Roton Point Hotel. Green and white was the color, Roton Point color. If you went around, everything would be green. The benches would be green. They used the rocks that border the flowers were all whitewashed and were white. Again, the color scheme was green and white. And it was very picturesque. The park, beautiful. Flowers all over the place, hydrangeas. There were three men that did the cleanup. And they would start like 6 o'clock in the morning and they'd be through by 3 o'clock. There was a lot to clean up, especially in the picnic area. And you know, people would go there, have their picnic, and they leave all the debris. But the cleanup crew, they would go all around the park, pick up all the debris, and they didn't have mechanical means for cleaning up at that time. The only thing they had was a rake and a broom. But between 6 and 11 o'clock, the entire park would be immaculate. So they would clean up every day. And Saturday and Sunday was the most difficult days for them because that's when we had the most attendance. The question was asked, how did people get to the park? Well, one of the ways was by boat, and the boat either came from New Jersey or from 40th Street and 12th Avenue. And there was a boat that came every day, which was called Belle Island steamer, and that would leave from New York and arrive around noontime, and then would go back to New York at 5 o'clock. Saturday and Sunday, we might have about 3 or 4 extra boats, and they would line up on the pier, and they would tie up adjacent to each other. So that would create a large group of people. Now the second means is by car, and the third means is by trolley. And there used to be a trolley station, and the trolley would come from South Norwalk or Stanford. And after the trolleys were replaced by the bus, they eliminate the trolley tracks, and they had a bus stop. In the afternoon, after the boat would leave around 5 o'clock, there would be free time before the park would open again at 7 o'clock. So between 5 and 7, around 6 o'clock, we used to play softball in the midway. You know, a bunch of the young guys would get out there and play softball, and I would participate too.